Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your man Zemo, a.k.a. Zach Morgan, and this is another episode of One and Done, you guys. Thank you for joining me, and I just want to start off by saying that this is going to be the beginning, the pilot of a new series. It's still going to be One and Done, still going to be done by yours truly, but one of the main reasons is because every time I upload a video of me calling the games on the commentary, I get freaking blocked by YouTube every single time. So, I'm going to have to take a different route. I still don't understand why they're blocking me. I kind of have an idea, but I'm not going to expand on that right now because that's not what's important. What's important, ladies and gentlemen, is the NBA Conference Finals are here. The conference finals are here, and I would like first to say this, and I don't mean this as an exaggeration, as a figure of speech, anything like that. I honestly believe that this is the single greatest season of basketball ever. If you really think about it, no, there's never been a period in the NBA where literally almost every single team has at least one superstar, or star, not superstar, because I take that word very seriously when you're describing a player, because there's a lot of stars. There's been a lot of stars throughout the history of the NBA, but there's been, a handful of true superstar Hall of Fame caliber players. So with that being said, there are so many stars throughout the league who, I'm not sneezing at anybody who is a star in the NBA. If you're a star at any level of basketball, especially in the NBA, that is impressive. That is a very impressive feat. But just the fact of the star power, man, like OKC and their big three. Even the Lakers have potential stars coming up. Didn't even make the playoffs. Some of the teams you look and see that didn't make the playoffs are solid teams with good players, like Devin Booker, for example, on the Suns. Not saying the Suns are a great team by any stretch of the imagination, but Devin Booker is a consensus superstar, definite superstar in the making. You look at people like the Celtics, it's just also a uptick in the prevalence and ability of three-point shooting, and that's why I say Steph Curry is one of the most influential basketball players of all time. Because 5 or 6 years ago, even 4 years ago, before he was a star then, about 4 years ago, but he had never, won an MVP quite yet, or hadn't. Well, 4 years ago he won his first MVP, but him single-handedly, I believe, along with Klay Thompson, but let's be honest, Curry is, he's what makes it go, and he has totally changed how people perceive basketball, totally changed how people offensive strategize in basketball. Because of the three-point shooter, you see people shooting higher percentages, and I believe that's because they expect to. Used to, it was if you shoot 33%, which is what Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and Larry Bird shot for their career, roughly. So one of them might have been 32 and a half, one of them might have been 34, but roughly in that ballpark. Might take 1.5 percentage points off either way. They were right there. Kobe Bryant, MJ, Larry Bird. Now Kobe Bryant and MJ, Larry Bird, if you ask, were some of the greatest shooters ever, and they were. And especially for his time, Larry Bird was an excellent three-point shooter, and he did have a 50-40-90 season, but he only had, I think, 2 or maybe 3 seasons where he shot over 40%. Nowadays, you're having average role players shooting 38%, 39% from threes. Steph Curry being a lifetime 45% three-point shooter has absolutely changed the league. I mean, think about it. Look at the Rockets. Look at the Rockets. It's shooting 3 points. They got the number one, you know what I'm saying, the number one best seed in the West. Number one best, they had the best record in the NBA. So, I mean, Steph Curry has absolutely changed the league. But getting back to the point of this is the best basketball season ever. It just had so many great storylines, good and bad. You had the whole Kyrie and Isaiah Thomas thing going on with Boston. You have Boston's ascension. You have all the great rookies that came in, from Dennis Smith Jr. to Donovan Mitchell, who is a star and probably, and I predict, will be a superstar within the next 4 years. But back to rookies like Donovan Mitchell. You got guys, Jason Tatum, if I already said him. And you got Ben Simmons, who is a rookie, not a rookie, if you ask the Boston fans. Which I'm kind of a closet Boston fan, you know what I mean? I like Paul Pierce, but anyways, Lonzo Ball. Then you got Malik Monk, who we haven't heard much from, but I think he plays for the Kings or some trash team. So, I think he plays for the Charlotte Hornets, whatever. Anyway, the Charlotte team, the one that MJ for some reason owns. But anyways, Lauri Markkanen. You know, you got a plethora of extremely talented people, and you know, I would like to give a shout out to Ball is Life, because they've really brought, you know, the grassroots basketball to the forefront, like great high school players, great high school mixtapes. So when you see them in college, you know them, you know their game, you know how impressive they are. And a lot of the players, like Ball is Life, is where I saw how good James Harden was. And this was like 7 years ago. Shit, maybe longer than that. Not about 7-8 years ago, because they was in the finals. Yeah. About 7 years ago. Because they was in the finals in 2011-2012 season, right? For the first LeBron Heat championship. So, but yeah, anyways, just so many rookies, man. So many good rookies. And not only that, but so many great storylines. There were so many trades in this offseason. This was definitely the craziest offseason ever, except for perhaps the offseason when Bosh and Wade went to Miami. Just because it was it was just unbelievable. It was unheard of until that point, and you could make but I'll say, you know, that was crazy because it was LeBron, and he was joining two superstars, and he had been on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are basically a sorry excuse for a team, except they had one of the greatest player in the world, or one of top 3 or 4 definitely at the time. Then he went to the Heat, won, you know, a bunch of MVPs. We all know the rest of that story. But this year, we have Paul George going somewhere. We had Melo going somewhere. I thought he would retire in New York. We had, on top of all the rookies, then we had the whole Boston. Then we had Gordon Hayward coming there too. You know, he gets injured in the middle of the season. They still ball out. Then we got the upcoming of other superstars. We got, Karl Anthony Towns. We got Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid finally playing. That's another big thing, man. You know what I mean? Because both of them was injured and having their little problems. And for both of them to get on the court and get a 3rd seed or 4th seed in the East is very impressive. Even though people say the East is trash, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe that. The top 8 teams, now, I'm not denying that the West is a better conference. But let's not act like the East is just complete trash. Like the Pacers, who were a 5th seed, gave Cleveland every single bit they could handle, and then Cleveland turned around and sweeps the Raptors. So what does that say about the Pacers? Oh, speaking of that, they had Oladipo. You know, not only moved, not that he was a big name, but then he became a big name because he changed his body and transformed into a much better basketball player and worked very, very hard, and I respect him for that. And man, it's just been a crazy season. We had so many people changing. Like I said, Chris Paul from the Clippers. Forgive me if I'm forgetting some things, because it's just so much. And like I said, we had the upcoming of Giannis turning into a real MVP caliber player. We had James Harden finally reach the MVP discussion, because for years a lot of people were thinking he was getting gypped. I just think it's the best season I've seen since I started watching basketball, and that's been 20 years. I started watching in about 98, 97, 98. Not that I knew what was going on so much, but Sports Center, they paint pretty good pictures that even kids can understand. I was born in 92, so yeah, I got to see Jordan when he was at the very end of his career for the Bulls, and then at the very big, and then when he was on the Wizards, obviously. So but I've watched tons of older stuff too, like Larry Bird, Oscar Robertson, Bob Cousy, John Havlicek, Brent Barry, Magic Johnson, Wilt Chamberlain, Lou Alcindor, I forget his name, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Keem Olajuwon, David Robinson. I've done my homework. I know basketball, man. I know basketball. I know the past, and I know the present, and I, like to think I know a little bit more than the average person about the potential future of basketball. And the future of basketball is incredibly bright. But like I said, I want to give big credit to Ball Is Life, man. I really think that not only these kids getting exposure is getting them scholarships that they might not have gotten, or as good or as many offers as they might have gotten, and if there's one good player on a team, like a really great player, it also gives exposure to all the other people on that team who might not be NBA caliber players, but they might be professional caliber players, as in being able to play in the Canadian League or in Europe or something like that. People, if you aren't in the NBA but you're still really good at basketball, like, you can still make a living in other aspects of playing basketball. Street ball, which isn't as prevalent as it used to be, but that was the precursor to Ball Is Life, I guess. I mean, they're totally different things, but there was, I don't know, I kind of retract the statement. They were two separate things. But before Ball Is Life, that was like the off-season basketball entertainment for me, at least. You know what I mean? I watched all the N1 stuff when I was younger. I watched all of it, man. Everything from Escalade, Skip to Malou, Rafer Alston before he came to the Rockets, The Professor, obviously, Baby Shaq. I remember Baby Shaq, Air Up There, Hot Sauce, of course. Yeah, so that was dope, man. Any young kids that, you should pay homage and check out, if you haven't ever seen it, check out the best of the AND1 mixtapes, bro, because they were off the chain, bro. They were so lit. Everybody loved them things, man. Everybody was trying to mimic it, throw it, especially everybody was wearing them big baggy clothes back then. When I was in middle school, it was Little John and shit, and it was just DJ Unk and Walk It Out and all that type of stuff, and everybody's wearing gigantic clothes, like 3-4 times too big for their body, 3 sizes too big for their body, including myself, wearing jabots, wearing filas, fresh, wearing jerseys all day, wearing tall tees hanging down to your knees. We all know that. We all know what it was. So, they would be out there balling, what I'm saying, in these loose ass clothes, and they throw the ball, whoop, do the circle up around, around their stomach or whatever, and bounce it off folks' heads, off the heezy, all this stuff, man, and a lot of it wasn't, it was done in other parts and people knew the tricks, but they brought it to like a global scale. Like, you would see fancy stuff in the NBA, like Earl the Pearl Monroe, Isaiah Thomas, Kevin Johnson, Anthony Hardaway, Penny Hardaway. You would see these guys, Gary Payton, Tim Hardaway. You would see them in the NBA, and everybody, you have to be fundamentally sound in the NBA. But after that, yeah, you can get fancy. Nowadays, you see crossovers all the time. Back in the mid to late, definitely in the 70s, they weren't doing none of that stuff. They weren't hardly doing any of that true crossover, shake and bake, dancing with you stuff. I mean, maybe a few people. Maybe a few, like Earl to Pearl, you know what I'm saying? Tiny Archibald, stuff like that. But, nowadays, almost everybody, even shooting guards, small forwards, hell, even Porzingis be crossing people up and pulling up with a J. But what my point is, the fact for that to have gotten lifted into the public eye and into mainstream, that stuff was being showed on ESPN, you know what I mean? So it was really bringing it to a huge audience of people that, had never seen stuff like that. Because you might grow up, if you grow up in say the hood or in downtown Atlanta or something, and you playing basketball down there, people were just, out there playing all day, so they get creative, they do all kinds of different stuff. So, but if you're, say, on a farm in Kansas or something, or in French Lick, Indiana, where Larry Bird's from, which, anyways, he was one of the most creative basketball players as far as just different. I mean, he was amazing. He was one of my favorite players of all time. Larry Bird is an absolute monster. But, you might not have ever seen that type of stuff, So, to bring that to the mainstream was just a beautiful thing, man. But I honestly believe this was the most interesting regular season that I've ever seen, personally. I'm not saying it's the greatest ever, but, Jesus, man. So many big names. Every team, everywhere you look, then you got great rookies coming up, then you combine that with great storylines. It was wonderful. And then on top of that, you got the Warriors, who, even though Durant made a bitch-ass move by going there, and I will never forget that, just like Stephen A. said, I will never forget that. Man, it is what it is, man. If you wanted to win, if you don't feel like he could beat him, you gotta join him, and if he wins 6 rings, not a lot of people are gonna remember that. I will, but, hey, it is what it is, man. And people have been saying, or were saying, this ain't good for basketball. This is horrible for basketball. I think it's wonderful for basketball. I think it's great for basketball. Because just like Steph Curry making 400 threes, I forgot how to speak. In a season, breaking his own records like 4 years in a row. You know what I mean? Having 50, 40, 90 seasons as a 6'3" point guard. It raises people's expectations of themselves. They're like, okay, I have to get better at shooting threes to beat this dude. Otherwise, he's gonna embarrass me. I have to get better at that. We all have to get better at that as a team. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he has sick handles and can get to the cup. We have to do that as well, if not better than him. So, they got a super team. Well, we're a super team too. They might not call us a super team, but you gonna play like a superstar. You gonna play like a superstar, and we're gonna beat them. That's people's mentalities, man. Not every team, obviously, and some teams just aren't equipped with the talent to do that. But you look at the Rockets, and that's exactly what they did. Because they got 2 All-Stars, arguably 3, with, I don't know, man. They could have 4 All-Stars, honestly. Shoot, man. They got, Clint Capella, I think, is an all-star caliber center because he does exactly what he needs to do, and he shoots an incredibly high percentage from the field. You know what I'm saying? People say, he gets the lobs and it's easy, but you know what I'm saying? If it was so easy, other people would do it too. So that's a moot point. Eric Gordon, I can argue, is an all-star. definitely like a 6-man of the year candidate. I think he actually might win it this year, considering there was the #1 seed. Trevor Ariza, great player, you know, in the aspect that he plays great defense. And then on the offensive side, he can hit threes. He's a traditional 3-and-D guy. He's very, very highly intelligent, high basketball IQ. He, you know, playing with Kobe all them years, I think really, really made him a better player. And Kobe, in some of his detail, from the mind of Kobe Bryant, was talking about Trevor Ariza and how, you know, how great of a basketball player he really is. And people don't really give him that much credit because he's not flashy, he's not all this and that, but you know what you're getting from him every night. So I'm not saying they are superstars. They definitely have 2 superstars. There's no questioning that. Chris Paul and James Harden, especially James Harden. I mean, he's the MVP of the season, and there's no other way to slice. I'm sorry, LeBron had a great season, but James Harden is the MVP. He is the most valuable player. If they didn't have James Harden, they wouldn't have made the playoffs in the West. I don't think. Well, I take that back. They might have made the playoffs. It was just if it was just them and Chris Paul. But that would have been tough, man. As great as I think Chris Paul is, James Harden as an offensive tool, as an offensive weapon, is just at certain points unstoppable. You D him up, you get all up in him too much, he's drawing a foul. You back up off him, he's shooting. And then you back up off him, he'll get a head of steam, blow by you. You play too close, he's going to blow by you. Then also, he has the step back, so he can always get separation. He knows how to get a shot off. He never hardly gets it blocked. He's a dead-eye shooter, so you get your hand right dead in his face, and it doesn't really faze him that much. He shoots a huge volume from 3. I think he took like 8 or 9 threes a game. And it was like 38%, which is really good, especially considering the degree of difficulty of it. You know, if somebody else was shooting 38%, it'd be like, okay, that's pretty good. But to shoot 38, 39% on taking that many a game and taking tough, off the dribble, step back, hand in your face threes, like, there's a lot to be said about that. So, yeah, man, that's what it is. That's what it is. So, come to the second part of the video. I know it's getting a little long-winded, you guys, but I just want to say that I just want to give y'all my picks and a quick explanation of who I think will win the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference Finals, man. Eastern Conference first, the easier one to decipher. You know, if I picked with my heart, I would say the Celtics will win. And everybody's writing them off. I don't know why. I don't know how. Because they wrote them off in the Milwaukee series. They wrote them off in the 76ers series. And even though Milwaukee took them to 7 games, you know, even though they took them to 7 games, then they took out the 76ers. They have a great coach. They have a bunch of great players. Marcus Smart is back, which I think made a big difference because he didn't play a lot. Marcus Smart is a great basketball player. I love everything about Marcus Smart except for the fact that he takes a little bit too many threes. But that he more than makes up for it with his steals, just his defense, his taking charges, his grabbing rebounds, making good passes, good decisions, handling the rock, you know, just being a floor general. You know, he's just solid, man. He's just a solid player. Then you go to Terry Rozier, stepped up completely. He learned so much stuff from Kyrie Irving, and he was already raw in high school before you know, he became a known name. But you know, if he don't stay with the Celtics, which I presume he will, then he could easily be a starting point guard for another team. No doubt about it. Talented. Now let me get to the most impressive Celtic of all. Well, first let me say Jaylen Brown, great. Potential star. He's already a star in my mind. Al Horford. I love Al Horford, man. He has heart. He knows how to play the game. He's fundamentally sound. He's just solid, man. Two-time NCAA champion. Can't forget that. And you can never, you know what I'm saying, diminish that. And to me, the star of the Celtics right now, you know, obviously of the people who are playing, is Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, as a rookie, is so impressive, man. He reminds me of Paul Pierce a little bit, because he has the mid-range game. He has the sneaky quickness, sneaky athleticism and handles. He's, you know, he's athletic. You know, a lot of people said Paul Pierce wasn't that athletic, but, you know, he was in the high school All-American dunk contest. I mean, you know, he lost to Vince Carter, but, I mean, Vince Carter is like the greatest dunker who ever lived. Top 5 at least. So, you know, especially young Paul is what I'm saying. Young Paul Pierce was athletic. This cat is athletic. He's sneaky quick. He has good handles. He knows how to get his shot off. He can shoot very well. And he can shoot the mid-range. And he can get to the cup. So he keeps the defense honest. People say the mid-range is the least efficient shot in basketball. Baloney. I don't believe it. Do not believe it at all. One, you get a few easier buckets. Just like everybody get to the 3-point free throw line. You get a few easy buckets. Then it's easier to hit the threes. Which is the most, according to the analytical guys, and I agree with it, the best percentage or whatever basketball shot, the shot in basketball. So you take that into account. And then but mainly and most importantly, and at one point, MJ, look how many points MJ scored for the mid-range. Look how many points Larry Bird scored for the mid-range. Look how many points, you know what I'm saying? Look how many times Tim Duncan shot the bank shot from the mid-range. Like, you know what I'm saying? The mid-range is dead. That's silly. That's silly. People act like if you get in the paint, you automatically get an easier shot. Like you're coming into the trees, man. You got to finish over 6'8", 6'9", 7 foot dudes. You know what I'm saying? If you get right to the rim, then that's one thing. But if you finish it in the lane, that's not like 100% easy shot. Like one thing I say about layups is almost every single layup and situation you got to make a layup is different. Especially when there's defenders there. Almost every single one is a little bit different in some way. Jump shots are always the same, man. Always the same. So certain things like that, if it's always different, you can't practice it. But if you keep practicing your mid-range jump shot, man, and you're a solid mid-range jump shooter, like MJ, you should be able to shoot no less than 50% from mid-range. Like Chris Paul, he tears people up from mid-range, man. And then he gets hot and uses that to shoot threes. So, and number 3, it keeps the defense honest, man. Because it keeps the defense honest, man. Because you see certain players, they don't shoot very many mid-ranges. And the defense knows they play tight up on him so he don't get the 3. Because they know he's looking for the 3. And then, if he gets past them, they just come and help and shut down the layup. But when you get past your first man, you stop and pop real quick. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody to guard you. So it just keeps the defense honest, man. And it's just, Jason Tatum is just so impressive to me. He's a lot bigger than I thought. The dude is like a legitimate 6'8". And he's not small 6'8". He's not a Kevin Durant, which, you know, not saying that Kevin Durant is weak. When he came into the league, he was, but not now. But, man, Jason Tatum is a big cat, bro. He's a big brother, man. Big brother. Watch what you say. Big brother is watching. So, with that being said, back to my picks. I'm sorry. My point. What am I talking about? I don't even know what I'm talking about. After all that, better coach, better all-around team, arguably. 2 stars, possibly 3 or 4, really, with Al Horford, Terry Rozier, Brown, and Tatum. Aaron Baines plays a role. He's a good, solid player. Marcus Smart, great player. They're very good on defense. They're a good 3-point shooting team. With all that being said, I'm picking the Cavs. I'm picking the Cavs. In my heart, I want to pick the Celtics. I really do, and I really think they have a chance to win this. But I just can't bet against LeBron, man. He's been to 7 or 8 straight finals. I can't bet against him. I can't, especially after what he did to Toronto. You know, if Kyrie was in the series, Celtics, I would bet the Celtics would beat them 10 out of 10 times. Or 8 out of 10 times. But that would be a great battle to watch, too. Kyrie versus, LeBron. 2 former teammates. You know what I'm saying? That would be awesome. But that's not going to happen. So, I got to roll with the Cavs, man. They have gelled together in these playoffs. I really think that Pacers series galvanized them. And LeBron, this isn't a hyperbole, man. This is the best postseason he has ever had. Up to this point, arguably. Up to this point. Except maybe the year where he went crazy in Game 6 against the Celtics, had 45 points. But he was scoring 40, 30, at least 35 a game. I think he was averaging 35 a game against the little baby dinosaurs. No disrespect, man. By the way, I'm tired of people disrespecting the Raptors. Yeah, I understand they fooled us, or they tried to pull a fast one on us. They tried to convince us they were good. You know what I'm saying? And people were trashing them. But, call it for what it is, man. LeBron balled out on them. They didn't show up, though. They didn't show up. But, hey, there's been NBA players that haven't showed up in the past. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta disrespect them. Baby dinosaurs, you know what I'm saying? Come on, G. I feel you. What the hell is a cavalier? What even is that, bro? I know it's something. I could look up a definition, but it's nobody uses cavalier as a real world description to anything. So I don't even know what that is. But anyways, I have to go with the Cavs just because of one thing: LeBron James. I could say all that other stuff about galvanizing and all this other stuff, but man, LeBron is playing so out of his mind. And he's playing the whole game. He may be getting 5 minutes off at the most. So the man playing, you know what I'm saying, 43, 44, 48 minutes. If you got to play more than that, he's going to. And we all know he has the conditioning for it. So it's just absolutely unbelievable, man. And yeah, so. And they both got a little bit of rest, you know what I'm saying? So the only one thing that might screw it up is Boston has the home court advantage. So with that being said, that's my choice for the Eastern Conference. Western Conference, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. I don't know. Betting wise, I don't know. Now I have a pick. I think it'll be the Warriors. I think the Warriors will win this series. But I hope and pray it goes to 7 games. I hope and pray it goes to 7 games. Because we all know how Steph Curry is in the 7th game. I know everybody gonna say, "Oh man, James Harden chokes in the playoffs. James Harden chokes." I don't think he ain't choking this year, bro. He's just playing too good to choke this year. It's not gonna happen. But I'm not saying Steph Curry chokes either. I'm saying, well, some people could say he chokes, because he lost a 3-1 lead. But he also, before that, came back after a 3-1 lead, so he didn't really choke. You know, I mean, he did, but he didn't. He choked in one series, and then he did the complete opposite of choking in another series right before that. So hey, but the one thing I will say that he kind of messes up with is his passing. He gets careless with his passing, and yeah, it's just he gets careless and he commits turnovers. And James Harden has in the past as well. I think he set the record. I remember watching the game; he set the record. But we all know the few times in the finals when they lost to the Cavs, the passes and the dumb passes he was throwing, you know, they just weren't on target, or they were behind the back for no reason type of passes. So it is what it is. But anyways, you guys, I gotta go with the Warriors, man. I got to. They're just a better team. It's not fair. It's not fair. They got three of the top 5 best shooters in the league. And that's not an exaggeration. Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry are maybe the 3 best shooters in the league. Besides, Dirk, Dirk, you know, he ain't what he used to be. He's old as hell, but people, you know, that's the thing. People kind of overlook how good of a shooter Durant really is, because he's so tall and he's long and he's getting to the basket. But he's had a 50, 40, 90 season before. He shoots a career 38, 39%. Like Stephen A. Smith says, can pull up from 30. Can cross you over, can dance on you with the best of them. I guess that's my Stephen A. impression. But anyways, you guys, they're just too OP, bro. They're just too OP for Houston to beat them. Now, if Houston beats them, it's just going to be a team effort. It's going to be Harden and Chris doing their thing every single night, and Capella, and then all the role players are going to just be dropping in threes. That's how they're going to win. That's the way they're going to win. But I think the Warriors just have too good of a defense, as well as too good of an offense. Their offense, well, I was about to say their offense isn't as good as the Rockets, and it might not be because of the system D'Antoni runs. But their defense is definitely better than Houston. Now, don't get it twisted. Houston has a very good defense. That's why they had the #1 record. It wasn't just, you know, the Suns, they would score all the time, but they didn't have a good defense. Chris Paul, Trevor Ariza, Clint Capella, James Harden when he wants to. Some of y'all might laugh at that, but look it up. James Harden when he wants to can play good defense, especially with Chris Paul. Now that Chris Paul has taken some of that load off, because everybody knows the most exhausting thing of basketball is when you're making moves on the offensive end and dribbling and attacking. So he's been able to rest. And Chris Paul is one of the best defensive players in the league. You know what I'm saying? Tall or small, period. You know, one of the best defensive players. Just always getting his hand on the ball, stripping people's dribble, this, that, and the third. So with all that being said, man, this is 1'NDONE. If you want to debate me, you know what I'm saying? Inbox me, hit me up on Twitter. At Zemo_1'NDONE. That's at Zemo_1'NDONE. You can follow me on Facebook. Am I on any other social media? I think those are about the 2 I do, man. Facebook and Twitter. I'm not really on the gram. I have a gram, but anyways, just get at me how you want to get at me. Hit me up on Facebook. That'd probably be the most the easiest way. Or you can contact me straight through YouTube. Honestly, leave a comment. Oh yeah, definitely drop a comment. You know what I'm saying? Like, share, all that stuff. And let the debate begin, man. Let it rage on. I want to hear what y'all think, man. Where do y'all think I was right? Where did y'all think I was wrong? Just let me know, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make this a new series. I don't know how much people like this, or just some dude rambling. But hell, it's basically a visual podcast, so shit. You know what I'm saying? Just take it for what it is, brother. But anyways, it's your man Zemo. Ladies call me, and I'm out. Peace.